Hello, Looby,
Hi, Maddy. Nice to
and
see you.
hello, anyone who is watching us.
Yeah, thank you
So,
for your time to see us and hear us.
so, we thought we would like to start a cultural emergence conversation, and probably the best place to start is to ask you, Looby, how did this idea or concept arise, and what is it?
Yeah, good question, Maddy. Cultural Emergence started 2 years ago with myself and John Young coming together to share our wisdom and distill it and to create something new as well, not just to see where the overlaps are between his work about deep nature connection and village building and my work with personal and social permaculture. We wanted to not just see where they overlapped, but what would actually emerge and arise out of that wisdom and what new things would come together. And then what has come together is this toolkit, which has practices in it and principles in it and pathways. So it's really coming together as this holistic toolkit. And with cultural emergence, we're not kind of specifying the end point and saying, hey, this is where we want to get to. We're opening up the conversation for us to see what can happen when we invite that emergence and that fertile emergence into our lives, into our families, our workplaces, communities, and seeing how far we can take this, and knowing actually that this stuff is really needed on the planet at the moment, that we are in a cultural emergency and we need a cultural emergence to bring us through to have breakthroughs that will inspire change and actually manifest the world we want. So it's quite an extensive toolkit, and you can learn it in different modules so that you get to grips with it and start to being able to integrate it into your own life to make change.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, and so we have the different modules. One is the Activating Cultural Emergence module, which I did this year with in the States with Starhawk and John Young. And then Maddy, you're coming to Applewood again this year for the Activating Cultural Emergence for women, and wondered if you could tell me a bit about what's special about doing this course for women.
Well, we have a long tradition of working with women, and we've done 2 Empowering Women with Permaculture, and back in the midst of time we used to have women's permaculture gatherings. And I would say that the idea of women gathering is as ancient and a traditional practice that there's always been in the past, women's circles and men's circles, and then joint circles. And I think we wanted to revive that tradition in permaculture movements, and now with cultural emergence, so that we can focus on very women-specific aspects, because the toolkit looks at stages of life, and for women those stages of life are quite biologically defined often. There are very distinct rites of passages for women throughout their lives, and so from that aspect alone it's useful to gather as women, and also it's for me there's a real richness and often a very beautiful and nourishing sense when women gather together in groups and share, and it's a good way of building trust and dealing perhaps with some issues that have been difficult for women, because it's a very nurturing and safe environment. And that's not to say that's an exclusive of women. Men can do that too. This isn't about exclusion or women being better than men or any of those judgments. This is just purely about having that approach and having the freedom to explore those aspects of ourselves with a sort of, I suppose, an intimacy, really. And very much it's about nourishment.
Yes, I would say that as well. And I've really found that during our women's circles, we've been able to really embody sisterhood, and through that sisterhood, then access our own courage and our own empowerment. So I found them, really deeply enriching spaces. And so this will be your third time back at Applewood, and you're here twice this year. So what calls you back to Applewood?
Well, I love Applewood because it really is a genuine rural retreat. So in terms of nature connection, there's just so much space to enjoy being on the land. I mean, how many acres is it, Looby?
Well, we've got 20 acres here, but really it because there's nowhere on the land you can see everywhere else, it looks and feels much bigger than that, doesn't it? It feels like this whole hollow, this whole valley that you're retreating into.
Yeah, so there's that sense of being held in the landscape, and it feels very nurturing because it is in that gorgeous valley. It's very elemental site, you know, sun, wind, water, and lovely earth, beautiful orchard area. It's just a very beautiful place to be, and because it's very much a private retreat place, it's a fantastic place to do group work, and there are a lot of resources. So there are all sorts of different spaces, from yurts to the sort of top hat circusy type tent, which is half inside, half outside, to warmer spaces depending on the weather. So for me, it's a really flexible venue, as well as being beautiful and nurturing. So that's why. And of course you, Looby, you're there with your lovely family.
Yeah, thank you. And we had the element you didn't mention there was fire, and of course we have fire pit here, and we love having fires in the evening and playing music, storytelling, connecting around the fire. That's really one of my when I was visioning the place and wanting place, I was really holding the fire pit as this central space for what I was looking for in a venue. So it's really lovely for that. And we're talking about nurturing. We are holding this summer, we're holding a Cultural Emergence summer intensive, and that's going to be based on the other two modules. So these other two modules coming together, which are the Cultural Emergence Design Web course. So this is really looking at how we manifest our dreams, and I'll be doing that course in Sweden and Canada this year as well. And then the other third module is nurturing cultural emergence, and that's looking at the deep nature connection and peacemaking and collaboration, and how do we connect with other people to really bring this emergence to life in our homes, in our families, in our workplace, with everyone that we work with. And that Cultural Emergence summer intensive, I'm really delighted that we've had this emergence of very deep friends and visionaries, yourself, Maddy, and Starhawk and John Young. You're all converging at Applewood over this 10-day period in the summer. So that's going to be really wonderful, and that's a future module, those two modules together. And then activating Cultural Emergence will be online as well quite shortly. So yeah, Maddy, it's all exciting, isn't it? Cultural Emergence is definitely emerging.
And it needs to, it needs to. We need to, I mean, there's this whole saying about we need to be the change that we want to see in the world. And with all the will in the world, you need tools. And they can't just be ecological tools. They've got to have that spectrum of very holistic people, groups, organisations, enterprises, and communities and beyond. So it's kind of, yeah, it's permaculture design with knobs on. And personally, I love the integration of the nature connection, because for me, that grounds all of this work. So it's not just design or an intellectual process or even a personal development process. It becomes deeper and more enduring for me because of this dimension of the natural world as well.
Yeah, thank you, Maddy, and thank you for joining Cultural Emergence adventure. And we will, if you'd like to find out more about it, come to my website loobymacnamara.com, or find me on Facebook, Looby Macnamara Permaculture. I've got a page there, and you can find out details of the courses. There'll be links there for these courses, so do join us and find out more about your own cultural emergence journey. And thank you very much for listening. Goodbye.
Thank you very much.